What is going on, everybody?
I
It
love the
is.
bumper. It was like
It's upbeat, man. It gets you amped up to get in and listen. It's one of the best ones that I've seen. Like when they first came out with that, we were pretty blown away. We're like, this is
I like
awesome.
it. I like it. It's got you guys in action and stuff, and this is prime time, baby.
It
This is
is.
prime time.
It is jam, and we are in the midst of the Godfather of Real Estate, Alfonso Cuadra. It's great to have you on, man. It's good to
Oh
see you're a busy
man.
guy.
So we're gonna have a lot of fun here, guys. I mean, you guys are amazing. You've been doing great things, and like to think about where we are right now and how we met we met in the thick of things. Remember, like way back in like 2020, and you're like, who is this guy, the Godfather? Like you didn't even know who I was. So we've come a long way. We built a friendship. We've traveled together, California. We spent some time in a mansion, like beautiful mansion in Temecula, California, and we built this really good friendship, which I enjoy.
Yeah, it truly is amazing to see how far people can go in such a short period of time when the right people are in the right rooms. It's amazing to see.
Yeah,
Yeah, but everyone that I think we've met in real estate, like when we initially met them, we had no idea who they were, and they've always turned out to be like relatively big people. It's like the very first time like we were introduced to like Matt McKee, we're like no idea really who he was, or like we're kind of just there, and then like same with you, like we got that podcast or the live stream, and we had like a quick brief of like who you were, and we really had like no idea. And every time that happens, it turns out to be just a big part of our journey throughout real estate.
yeah, and like ever since then, we just, and that's what I love. It like real estate is relationship, like it's all about relationship building. And if you have those skills where you can connect with people, you can do lots of business. There's going to be millions of dollars that are going to transact between us, and that's what I love about real estate, because it's such a small community, but like it's all based on relationships.
It's a dying skill too. The new generation, the communication aspect of being able to talk to somebody and chat with somebody and negotiate. Those things are all gone. Those things are a dying breed. So,
I
um,
call people like, you calling me? This is so weird. You're like, why are you calling? Oh my God, why aren't you texting me? And it's like, I'd rather, instead of texting like for the next half an hour, I'd rather just call you. Hey, this is what it is.
Well, it's like a matter of your time too, right? Like to get a point to cost, especially if you're trying to transact or figure something out with real estate, there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. Having a 5 minute conversation on the phone is the same as like an hour text message conversation, like back
Yeah.
and forth. Like it's way easier to have that phone call than try to, and like text messaging too. Like if you get busy, a phone call comes in or something, very easy to forget a text message or get back to it, way later than you
Yeah.
need to, versus picking up the phone, having a 5 second phone call, figuring it out, going from there.
And often people forget that that's a big part of like real estate investing, is building that relationship. That relationship part is key. But when things are flying and there's like business coming all over the place, you don't have time to really like nurture those relationships. And it's only um you know when you get the opportunity, when it becomes like when things start to cool down, then this is the time to really foster and nurture those relationships. And people often forget that there's a main activity, because if you're in a situation where, like, let's say the market is going, doing its thing, and it's like cooling, and you know maybe it's not the time to buy or whatever, then you go back to relationship, networking, connecting with people, because the second things turn around, it's not like, hey guys, like I'm back here, like I need to buy something, or I need a mortgage, or I need money, or whatever. It's like, no, you've already spent the time building those relationships. So like when it's go time, it's go time.
Yeah, especially in a market like we've had where, over the last 2 years, deals were everywhere because you could just rely so much on market appreciation. But now we're getting into a time where, if you're looking to do flips and burrs and really get that super profitable deal, like you need to be a lot more due diligent. You need to find, the one-offs, like those are the deals that you need to find. They're not just everywhere anymore. So being in the know and being connected is how you're going to be able to get those deals in a market where, they're a little bit more scarce than what they were over the last 2 years as well.
Listen, I tell this to people all the time. This is where the real players come out. You know what I mean? Like, the mortgage brokers that were doing it after work between 6 and 9, the part-timers, all those people like kind of disappear when things get tough, right? And when things get tough, this is where you're going to see the real investors, the real action takers, the real go-getters, the real realtors, the real mortgage brokers, the people that are really in this business for the long haul. That's when those people kind of rise to the surface and you see like who really was doing work. Because let's face it, like if you got your mortgage license like a year ago, you basically you could put up a sign, hey, I'm a mortgage broker, and you get some sort of business. But now this is like where the real work comes in.
I completely agree. It's kind of like a purge in the market. It's not going to be a terrible thing. It's going to be nice. I think there was a lot of people who thought maybe it was easy to be a realtor, or easy to be an investor, easy to be a mortgage agent. The easy time is gone, so it's going to be nice to maybe have a little bit of an exodus and shed the skin, and we're back at it.
I've been through multiple. This is like not my first rodeo, guys. They call me the Godfather because I'm old.
I've seen shit. I've been around.
Like 23 years. And I remember back in 2007, there was like multiple offers and people were buying real estate at any price and everything was crazy. And in Ottawa, I remember this is before social media. We used to have these networking events, and the room was packed, like jam packed. You'd have wholesalers, you'd have flippers, and everyone was excited, and it was like standing room only. And then when the shit hit the fan in the U.S. and there was obviously a crash in the U.S., but it was a correction here in Canada. We went back to those same events, and they were empty. Mm-hmm. It was just us multifamily guys. We're like, where did everybody go? And for me, it just meant go time at that time. And I was able to really get ahead in a big way where, if we didn't have that correction, I don't think I would be here today. That I was able to actually advance my business by like 5 years. And same thing happened here with COVID. When COVID hit, I felt that same sense of urgency that I felt back in 2008. And we took massive action and made millions of dollars. And now we're back. It feels the same. And I have that same sense of urgency in my blood. And this is what I tell my students and everyone that, if you go on my YouTube channel, July 13th, we called it the hunting season. Because now we're back, baby. We're back. And, this is I live for this stuff. I live for this time, where it's like everyone's a bit scared. And then I can go in there and do some amazing deals.
Well, this is when you're going to start to see the people like you really do have a bit of a cleanse right now, right? Like when you take a look at the amount of new investors that came out over the last 2 years, it was very easy to borrow all the down payment, all the renovation costs, and still make a good amount of money on the profit if they're paying your own back, because you had all that market on top of all the burrs and the duplex conversions and the renovations. But now it's not as easy to go out, borrow absolutely everything, and then be able to refinance a deal or flip that deal and be able to make all that profit. So you're going to kind of get a bit of a cleaner slate with some of the investors who are just going to get kind of pushed out of the market. There's going to be some people who take some heavy losses and it's going to push them out of the market. There's going to be some people who are just get, they get caught up in the media and the news and, kind of the fear mongering and talking about the rates and everything like that. And they're going to back out a little bit. So you are going to get, I think, a bit of a thinning of the herd on the real estate investor side. And it is going to be a good opportunity for people to get back in. You're going to get maybe a bit more, options on the 1 to 4 unit stuff. Whereas, over the last 2 years, you're getting like 30, 40 offers on some of these places. That was just, making it a bit unreasonable.
It wasn't normal.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was nuts. So I think it's good. I think, I think it also keeps people on their toes. It's a good reminder that, real estate isn't just, you just keep putting money in and it just keep spitting it out. You know, there's still some risk to real estate. It's a little bit longer of a market cycle than maybe some of the stock markets, and especially stuff like cryptocurrency and stuff like that. But it's a good reminder that it's not just automatic return, and it's not ever ending. There is some market cycles to it, and you got to pay attention to that.
And not all real estate is good.
Oh,
yeah,
right. No. Like you have to buy the right. I mean, like first of all, you have to educate yourself in understanding of what it is. What are the fundamentals, and if you follow those fundamentals, then you're investing for the long run. You're not investing. If you're investing to make money today, if the only way you're going to make money in real estate is if you sell that piece of real estate, you're asking for trouble, right? You're going to get caught in a market like how we are right now. I don't have to sell anything, so I'm not going to lose, right? In fact, now is where I'm going to pick up, a big portion of the, my next, building of my next portion of my portfolio will come from these times, right? In the past year, I was liquidating a lot of the things that, maybe weren't working, or some ugly ducklings, or, some of the deals that, they're underperforming, and we could, probably put this money somewhere else. And we were getting crazy money for our stuff, and now all that capital, we're redeploying it into like newer, cleaner, lean and clean type deals.
I love it. So you've obviously been through a handful of cycles, and the thing on everybody's mind is how long is this going to take? Some economists at the bigger banks are saying middle of next year. Some are saying a little bit longer than that. You've lived through this. You've seen it. Is it usually quick? Does it take some time?
So listen, higher interest rates hurt governments because there's so much debt there, and they'll have to pay more. Like these interest rates are also going to affect the money that goes out, right? So what they actually need is for people to stop making dumb decisions, right? And that's like, if you want to boil it down to one thing, is that people were dumb for the past 2 years, okay? And for the lack of better words. Why do I say that? Well, you know what? People were using their houses as ATM. There's people that they would every couple of months, we can refi, put in a pool, buy a cottage, let's take the summer off. Like when you go through like the airport, and you're like, what's happening? And people are like, well, we can't hire anybody. You go to a restaurant, they're kicking you out at 9:30. You're like, what's happening? We can't hire anybody. So the cost of living is doubling, but yet nobody wants to work, because for the past 2 years, everyone's been #living their best life on Instagram. And all of a sudden, like, the bill is due, right? At some point, the bill is due. And so when you increase the interest rates, as a society, we start thinking, oh, okay, we're going to have to pay for this stuff one day. And so, at some point in November, right, the conversations in the household will go something like this, like, honey, maybe we should get a job, like when we should go back to the workforce, maybe we should get a second job, and and then people will go back to normal. And that's kind of what we want. We want people to just get back in the workforce, start earning a living. Don't look at your house as an ATM. Now, there were some smart people that took refied their houses and invested in more property, right? But the majority, like if you see, like everything was up in sales, pool sales, campers, trailers. Like I almost bought a trailer. Yeah, it's like those the ones that you can live in. What is it? Mobile trailer?
RV, yeah.
RV, yes, RV. I almost bought an RV, right? Until I thought, I was like, no, nobody really does this, right?
We can get you like a Alfonso tour bus. We'll put your face.
Yeah. I wanted to do something like that where I could just travel, city to city. But I was like, no, that's stupid.
Do it next year. Get an Alfonso tour bus and go across Canada.
But that's just been the we've been at. We've been at this place where we've never been ever in the history of time. It's kind of, there's a lot of uncertainty, and people kind of put their heads in the sand and took 2 years off, right? And so you can't take 2 years off life and productivity and not expect not to have consequences,
Completely.
and these are the consequences, right? So September 7th, I think we'll tell the full story of where we're at in terms of inflation, in terms of where the government needs to be, on both sides, Canada and the US, because of, they've already had these conversations. This is already pre-planned of what they're going to do.
Yeah.
But, I'm thinking they're going to go up one more time. They're gonna go 100 basis points, and we were talking about this off air, so we can have a bet. You said 0.75.
I'm thinking 0.75. Everything that they've been saying, that Tiff McCallum has said, it was essentially, they want to keep it at 3.25% as their benchmark overnight lending rate. 75 basis points would get us there. So I think they're going to go 75 and hold. I think it's really going to depend on where the inflation numbers come in, but it's a lagging indicator. So if we start to see a decline, which we are right now, I don't think they're going to go the full 100, but I'm willing.
I think they might go 100. They go 100. I think they go 100.
We'll have to wager on it.
Yeah. What do you think, Ehren? You going
0.7? I think 50 is too low. Like, I know there's been a couple people saying 50 basis points. I think, you take a look at what they've done, the entire year. It's everything has been a bit higher than what we thought. And I wouldn't be surprised if they went
optics, right? Those are like, listen, guys, like, we're serious, right? And so people start getting nervous. You need people nervous going back into the workforce, and honey, we're going to have to pay for this stuff, and how are we going to pay for the pool and all of that stuff, like, if you really look at it, 1%, what, like, on an average house mortgage of like 400,000 or 500,000, what are we looking at 1%? We're looking at what, $100, $300, $200?
Like, yeah, essentially. Like, if you go from where it's been at, like, if you had a $700,000 mortgage on $1 million house, let's say the last like 3 or 4 months, it's probably gone up $1,000. It's serious amount of increase in your variable term. If you took a variable term, I think it's going to squeeze the market. And it is squeezing the market. We're seeing people right now. We see the applications, and I'm not here to scare anybody or whatever that might be, but it is working because our economy is now contracting. It is now, oh crap, we need to pay these bills. Everything's getting more expensive. We need to stop our excess spending and rein it in. And unfortunately, I think, as we said off air, I think that we need to do it fast and do it hard. And then eventually, when, hopefully 6-7 months from now, we're in a lot better spot. Consumer prices are down, and we can get back to some sort of normalcy in the market. But it's a necessary evil at the moment, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, I definitely see. So go back to your question. How long does this usually take, right? Back in, like, when I got into business in 1996, you guys were you even born yet?
Yeah, I was like 30.
I was like 5 years old there, man. Give me a break. Come on.
Yeah, not that young.
So 1996, I started, and I remember going to, so I started in the clothing business, and I remember we'd go to St. Catharines in Montreal, and every store on St. Catharines, and if you've been to Montreal, you know that St. Catharines is the main drag there, and every store was Felice. Yonge Street, multiple like stores were Felice, and like where you see it now, it's like, oh my God, like you can't even fathom what that looks like or what that feels like. But I started business in the middle of or at the tail end of a recession, and things turn around. There was a tech boom, and there was an internet bubble, and that bursted in 2002, and then we're back into it. Well, before that we had 9/11 in 2001, which really created like a mini correction in multiple markets, and then 2002, and then 2008, and then like there's always been. It's never like one shot all the way up.
But have you ever seen anything that has affected everybody so much? Like obviously, in a tech bubble, equities, got squashed, and people lost money in the stock market. And that's kind of like a basic thing that most people, if you play in the stock market, you're probably going to get burned. But this is different. This is a global situation. This is global inflation at it, something we've never seen before. To be able to rein in something that's serious, I'm just curious as to if we think it's going to be as lightning fast as we think it is.
I don't think it'll be lightning fast. But I think other sectors are going to suffer more. Like if we go into a full blown, like we are in a recession now, but if we go into a full blown recession, stock market is going to get, like, we will see something like a Black Friday or whatever, and where everything just goes to like zero. We will see that in our lifetime. I don't know if it's this time or they're just going to kick the can down the road. But, when you have a recession, it's going to hit the markets first. And then commodities, right? So then we go to like gold. Okay, so are people going to have confidence in gold? Are they going to have confidence in cryptocurrencies? I think people will always go back to real estate. And I think that's a big difference of where we're at today than where we were back in 2007. Where 2007, people were like really highly over leveraged. I don't think we're there right now. We a lot of people came to Canada and North America. They bought cash, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you bought cash, you don't have to sell. Right?
I wish you saw some of our mortgage applications. I don't know.
Like some of in the apartment building space, a lot of people went in cash, right? There's a lot of people that are not in the same space as they were back in 2007.
Yeah.
The other factor is that we are in a global housing crisis. It's not just Canada. We're in a global housing crisis.
Yeah.
And so, that mixed in where if we go into a full-blown recession, which is needed, by the way, that's going to, I could see them rolling back interest rates to try to stabilize everything. And it's going to be, I think for the next 5 years, it's going to be this thing with the trying to stabilize. So they're going to put the
brakes on spending.
What would you call this?
The throttle?
The throttle. I guess the throttle or I'm thinking in Spanish is palanca. No, but I'm trying to remember.
The lever.
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 Lever. That's what I'm trying to think about. So the lever, it's like interest rates up, down, right? So you see there's a recession. Everyone's in panic. Oh shoot, we went too far, guys. Let's bring this down. And then inflation now. Oh shoot, guys, let's bring this back up. And it's going to be a bit of a like a roller coaster, I think, for the next 5 years versus what we've seen traditionally, where things take a little bit more time and then we can see the full cycle through. I think we'll see more of a volatile kind of until we get into more of a stable market.
Yeah, I think it's just like that's a representation of how just mismanaged and how poorly the governments have been really dealing with everything. I mean, you take a look at all the small business shutdowns, like, over 250,000, I think at least small businesses or Canadians like lost out of their small business jobs. You take a look at like how that's going to impact. They rolled out that CRB check. People were happy to sit at home and collect, $4,000 plus a month for doing absolutely nothing. That's going to impact people going back to work. Well, yeah, and it's just I think they've just created a situation now where all they're doing is just slapping band-aids on things now. Like it's almost gone too far past the point to be able to really fix, the actual systemic problems now. Like I think it's going to be reactionary, and you can't just you take a look at Canadians and how many of them are living off of their lines of credits, especially coming out of after COVID. Living off their lines of credits, living on their credit cards, living on their HELOCs, any of the equity in their home. I mean, it was already like that heavy credit card, heavy revolving debt usage before COVID, let alone after that. You just pumped up the interest rates on everybody's revolving debt. no one's working enough to really be able to afford that. And you're going to have to cool the interest rates a little bit. And then once you bring that back down, I think you're right. You just get back into a cycle, and you need a government that's going to step in, make some scary decisions, because that's in the way that you're going to be able to fix some things, moving forward. Because you can't just keep up, down, up, down. You're just going to create a gong show of a system, and then you're going to have just systems and governments falling apart if we keep that up, and especially in Canada.
It's going to look like the equity markets, right? Like, I mean, Donald Trump tweets and things go up and things go down. It's essentially that's where it's at. It's going to be investor sentiment controlling a market. It's pretty wild to think about.
Well, you see, one thing that even back in 2009, remember, 2019, sorry, they still had stress tests. Like, and so I think because of that stress test, because they even at the very height of it, they were, I think people were stress tested at 5%, 5-6%.
It was like 4.7 something like that, just before, yeah.
And so I mean, they already knew that this was going to happen, right? It was just like this like 2-year like pause, right? But like this is they've already been planning for this. I mean, they have to.
Yeah, I mean,
I agree.
Qualifying for 5.25%, and now everything is going to be over that. So all the people who are maxed, probably pushing the top end of qualification at the moment are like being able to really afford the homes that they're in. So that housing crisis that you're in, as Ehren was saying, like it's a serious issue. So how does the government deal with it? I mean, men much smarter than us probably sit around a table and talk about this, but
they're not as smart.
If we can figure it out, there's a new political position open for us. So I think
well, you know what? I wouldn't want that job.
No, definitely not.
All right. But look, at the end of the day, as investors, and so that's like, yes, the housing market, people are subject to whatever is happening. But as investors, we go back to fundamentals every single time, even at the very height of the market, right? At the very height, where things were like out of control, we still are following real estate fundamentals. And as long as you stay within those parameters, you can weather the storm. And that's where we're at. During these times, we know we're not going to be selling real estate. We're going to be buying more real estate because this is the best time to buy. And then, when the market goes up, we may consider selling assets, creating a liquidity event to, deploy it into, maybe level up at some point, but not until that point, because as a real true investors, the only time you lose in real estate is when you have to sell. And so that's the key. Never put yourself in a position where you would have to sell.
And that's I think the name of the game. And some people were in a market or too long of a bull market where everything went up and you threw money at something and it went up, and you were in a deal that you put maybe a few $100,000 into, and now the bottom fell out and you're in a situation where you have to hold it at a deficit and wait for a market to come back. So the idea of over leverage, it was always talked about, but the ramifications or the burn of it, I think everybody forgot about what it felt like to get burned or lose money in real estate. And when you forget what being burned feels like, eventually you touch the oven, right? So I think we're at
as much I love making clients money and helping them make money, but I feel like at the same time too, someone who is never done a transaction in real estate shouldn't walk in on their very first transaction and make like $200,000. I just feel like that's not the way, we don't need 40% appreciation year over year and on top of everything else. Like
it can be. And I talk to people all the time. They're like, we want to join your program. And then, there is an investment component to it. They're like, well, you know what? Like, I'll just wait. I'm like, sure, pay me now, pay me later. At some point, you're gonna have to learn.
Kill me. I love it. So you're obviously moving and shaking. You always got things on the go. We were talking to you a little bit before we started this. What are you doing? Like, tell us some big projects. People want to hear about.
We have some beautiful projects. So my 60 unit, it's going to be completed in October. 60 units, 14.5 million, brand new, all the bells and whistles, just outside of the west end of Ottawa here.
Nice.
I have a 24 unit that's coming in spring. So it'll be the completion will be spring, brand new again, 6.9 million. I have a 44 unit coming up, 12 million, 44 units in next fall. We started construction on a 30 unit right here in Ottawa, West End Ottawa, right near Bayshore Shopping Center, like prime location. 30 units with an after construction value roughly about 14 million. So it's about 1.8 for the land acquisition, maybe 1.5 in soft costs, 7.5 in construction. We'll be into it for just over 10 million. We'll be able to do a refi, and maybe we'll be into it for like maybe 400,000-500,000 at the end of it. But we'll have a really beautiful asset, brand new 30 unit apartment building. Right now we're working on a 48 in Brockville, and so the deals don't stop for me. I'm not gonna base my investment based on what the interest rates are doing, right? I just need to adjust things. Sometimes I need to adjust for what's happening, but some of these assets, by the time I'm done, the interest rates are not going to look they're not going to look. It's not the market is not going to look the same as it does right now.
That's such a hallmark for like a true seasoned investor too. Like, same thing on our end. If we're seeing like true investors or guys who are in multiple projects right now in the multifamily space, no one's stopping. We're just adapting, or if we have some capital in it, you're already expecting to have capital in it, maybe a little bit more capital in it, but you have an asset that's cash flow and compounding. Like, it's not a 6-month strategy. This is a long-term play, and I love the fact that you're just like, oh well, we'll just pivot, we'll just figure it out. We'll keep more capital in the deal. People will hold.
Well, the thing is, like, what kind of investor are you? Are you want you're going to see crazy cash flow when interest rates are high? No. But if the asset is good, if you have a good asset, you're way ahead of the game, because there's a shortage in housing in this country. There's 500,000 new immigrants coming into this country every single year. These people are going to require housing, and no matter where the interest rates are, there's still the necessity for housing. And so, maybe up front the cash flow is not as sexy as it would have been if you're borrowing at 1.5, because I have some mortgages at 1.5. It's like free money, but those days are behind us for now. But in the meantime, you still have massive mortgage pay down, right? And especially if the deal is significant. If you're buying new, you have a really good asset that for example, $14 million in the next 10 years, that asset's going to be worth $20 million. The refi alone on something like that is going to be like sexy versus someone doing a refi on they bought a property at 500,000 or 600,000, and they're doing a refi at 8 or 9. Well, that's cute, but when you're pulling out a couple $1 million from your real estate, that's sexy. And so, these are the things that people are very short-sighted, and they operate based on where they are. We operate based on where we're going. And if you think about where you are right now, and that's how you're going to invest, you're going to be dead in the water. You might not even be able to invest because you're like, well, I'll just wait till interest rates come down. Right? It doesn't make any sense, right? Because interest rates come down, then the prices go back up. And so what do you want, right? I'd rather buy something that makes sense now, position it in the right way. Maybe the cash flow is not where it needs to be, but the second, we go back to 3% interest rates or 1.5, and we increase the rents, especially with new builds that don't follow the same landlord tenant rules and the rent control, like everything else in Ontario, we're in great shape, especially with inflation.
Yeah.
Completely agree. I see a huge shift. And one of the questions I wanted to ask you was, you obviously got into multifamily, you bought some, then you turned them over, you went through the process of having to deal with tenants. And it's not a bad strategy. It's a great way to probably most people get in. It's an easy way to be able to own multifamily. But at what point did you just get to, I'm building, like I'm doing this, I'm done with this, I just want to do it and build it and have market rent? Like at what point in your investing career was that?
It never made sense for me to buy new because I just couldn't make the numbers work. And the reason I couldn't make the numbers work is because I was looking at it with from the wrong place in my life where I was. Because I've always been a value add type of investor, buy something, reposition it, refi it, and it's like we go to the next one, go to the next one, go to the next one. And when COVID came, it's like I'm like something happened to me where I was able, because of my experience and because I know what I know, I knew that was a massive opportunity. And so we went and we took so much action between April 1st and August of 2020. Like we bought millions, we made millions in that short window of opportunity, and everything pretty much doubled in price. Where we're in a position now in 2021, last year at some point, we're like, geez, like this is our portfolio. We can literally, sell this bottom half, that's a pain in the ass, right? Like these underperforming, and level up in a very big way. And that's pretty much when I started back in 2021, where I'm like, wait a minute, I don't need cash flow. Like it's not what I'm after now. I don't need the value adds because I enjoy lifestyle, right? I enjoy I enjoy traveling, and I enjoy, teaching people how to be, how to reach financial freedom. I kind of just want to I just kind of want to push the money as much, all the capital that I have towards really good clean assets. So at that point I decided that my focus was going to be doors, but I wanted to have lean and clean doors. Like I want all of our properties to be like amazing. Like when you drive by any one of our properties, you're gonna say, "Oh, those are the Godfather's properties," right? And because I want to have, there's a standard that I'm following right now that I never did before. Because when people start their real estate investing career, they have to do what they have to do, and you got to get into these ugly ducklings and turn them into beautiful swans, and you got to do that over and over consistently until one day you're gonna go lean and clean.
Yep. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I see. Oh, go ahead, Aaron.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, like, some of these you're actually building from scratch, I think you said, and then some of them you're buying direct from the developer as well, too, right?
Yeah. So, I started by buying directly from the builder, and I'm actually paying. I'll pay premium if I'm going to get a premium product, and so I don't, and it works within my numbers and for my investors. But if you have opportunities to build, like you should probably look into it. And so that's what I did. I partnered up with a few people, like another different builder, and then we started to see, like, can we do this ourselves? So we're working on two projects where we're actually we're on the building side, the developing side, and the building side, but not my favorite. My favorite is, now that I'm on my like fifth deal buying directly from a builder, nothing beats it because they have to give me the product done, leases. I know my price, I know my numbers, I know my financing, everything in place, no surprises.
Carry on warranty, it's all covered. You're good to go.
It's all there.
Yeah, if you have the capital and the ability and the knowledge and the wherewithal to do it, like that seems like where things are going. And I like that CMHC ended up creating a product that specifically helps investors like yourselves. They're sophisticated investors with capital to purchase these types of assets. It's going to, I think it's going to push more quality, multifamily to the direction of not just the REITs, but like of people who are wealthy people or serious investors who are looking to get into the market. It's phenomenal.
I think the consequences of interest rates going up, we'll feel it in 2023, where people can't find housing and the rents are going to go through the roof. And yeah, they already are, but they're going to go even further, right? Because everyone that, they're just going to they're going to pull back, and then building is going to, like the price of lumber has come down, the price of metal has come down, everything has come down because everyone has just come to a halt. And so the people that are behind on the builds and all that, I think the government will have to create further incentives, and you will see CMHC 60-year AM mortgages and 70-year AM mortgages.
Let's go.
I'm sure the government would love to have 100-year AM mortgages. It's something they're able to potentially take over at the end of it and have that as well too.
What do you think they call them mortgages? It comes from the word the morgue. You're supposed to take that mortgage to your death.
That is the only thing I learned in the mortgage broker course.
It's two words. It's mort and gauge, which means death and grip.
Oh shit!
That's how it's actually
Nothing pleasant about it.
Yeah. But if you understand how to use that properly, it allows you to be able to create immense wealth, which is, Alfonso, what you're doing. Like, it's honestly, since Ehren and I have met you, Wealth Genius has blown up. I think everybody I talk to talks about the success and the network and all the action that's taken. I love the hat, but it truly is amazing to watch and to see the impact.
It's so much fun, guys. It's so much fun. Like we have a really unique and powerful community. People in the industry, all the heavy hitters, all the killers, they've come and they've jumped on board, and it just strengthens the community. When you have a group of people. So right now we have about 400 members, students, that are part of Wealth Genius. And they're all high-level performers because we were very intentional in the way we have attracted people to our community. We actually, turn people down, right? It's not for everyone, right? But we're looking for those people that are really want to make real estate a part of their lives. And what happens when you get around people like that? It's contagious. People said COVID-19 was contagious, but success is more contagious than COVID-19, because when you get around a group of people that are like they're executing at a really high level, it's going to help you with confidence. It's going to help you with execution. And, as you know, we're a direct reflection of the expectations of our peer groups. So get around people that are doing what you want to do. And for you, it's going to be automatic.
Yeah.
Well, and that's not just, it's not that like your way about choosing who you're going to have in your group isn't necessarily a benefit for you. It's a benefit for your members as well, too. Because if you have people that are in your group that are only there to learn and not waste time, that it doesn't waste as much as your time, which means you get to be more hands-on with your coaches and with your students, and the coaches that are under you get to learn more from you. It's a more efficient way of being able to teach everybody versus just having a million people in there, people who are asking questions, trying to get in touch with you, who are more just tire kicking, kind of wasting time, trying to get quick tips, becoming wealthy. It's a more efficient way to teach your students, and that knowledge is going to be able to be transferred that much faster to them.
Well, one key thing is that everyone in our community has invested in themselves. And it takes a very special person to invest in yourself, in your personal growth, your personal development, get coaching and mentoring. That's a very special person. And if you put if you have a room full of those type of people, of course they're gonna, like, the energy is gonna be powerful, and the types of deals that are gonna come out of there are gonna be powerful. Last year we did just our group alone, and it was a smaller group because we've actually grown quite a bit over the last year. But last year we did $60 million in transactions as a just my students alone. And this year we're on track to doing 300 million in
Jeez.
transactions, just our group alone, right?
Well,
And
that's
so
amazing.
to me, I'm extremely proud of that, because what does that mean to me? It means that a lot of lives have been changed, and people are doing amazing things.
That is generational changing moves, man. It's a pleasure to be a part of it, to be able to help. Aaron and I
Yeah.
being able to talk to you and hang out with you guys. And we've seen the growth from so many of your students, and we're looking forward to watching to taking to the next level, soaring above with all those Eagles.
Yes, and you guys are intricate part of it, right? Because we need the money. Show me the money.
Dollar bills.
And you guys definitely know what you're doing. So you know, um, I'm always recommending you guys. I mean, like, you guys entered in a space, that if and I always tell people, if I was a realtor or a mortgage broker, I would not be an investor focused mortgage broker or realtor, because
Hard.
it takes a lot of time. You got to really love real estate to actually want to deal with investors, because just a different breed of people, right?
I love it. It's infectious. Like dealing with people who just want more out of life, who are usually positive, who are looking for solutions, who are just and black and white. Like if anybody is watching this as a realtor or a mortgage broker, and you've ever dealt with a client who is just unbelievably in love with their home or their purchase, the irrational decisions and phone calls that you would get compared to somebody who's just a black and white, these numbers make sense, like execute and move forward. It's
Yeah.
unbelievable. So, I love the investor space. I love the fact that we're
Yeah.
making a true impact in people's lives. And it's great to see people materialize their dreams in front of them. We have clients who started with us 3 years ago who are retired now, who have all the units, who have all the cash flow, and who are able to share that journey with other people. It's amazing to watch truly, people's lives
Yeah.
materialize in front of them.
And you guys are not just doing the financing, but you guys have taken action. I know that you picked
Mhm.
up a multi, I think it was a 10 unit or a 12 unit.
She's an 8 unit, so she's almost done. She's getting close.
Nice.
We're a few more months away from finishing it up, but on the hunt for another one. It's hunting season for sure.
Yeah, and that's what I love that about you guys, because it's like, you're taking action, and you understand investors, and you understand the power of like multifamily, and generational wealth, and you guys, you obviously you're reaping the rewards, and you've done really well. Like, you guys are now known in this space, right? And you've done an incredible job to get to this level where you guys have your own bumper, and like this
It's pretty catchy.
level, guys. And so you've done extremely well. You guys should be very proud of yourselves, and the sky's the limit now.
It's just the beginning. Yeah, we'll see you at the top.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, Alfonso, really appreciate you coming on as always. For anybody who's watching here today, obviously you either came from us or from Alfonso. If you want to contact us, our contact information is going to be down below, or you can check out our YouTube channel and Instagram. If you don't know Alfonso, go check out his Instagram and YouTube channel as well. He operates Wealth Genius, probably one of the largest investor coaching platforms that there are out there at the moment, focusing on residential and commercial development, real estate, both in Canada and the US. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to either one of us. We're happy to chat. Alfonso?
And I saw a lot of our students here, the comments and everything. So, to everyone that was watching, there you go. Is Luis there? Look, I see a lot of our people here. Nicholas, yes, everyone's just, cheering us on. And I think we brought a lot of great content here. Thank you, my man.
We'll see you at the top, buddy.
Alfonso loves you. We'll see you at the top.